First, you actually blame Suge for Tupac getting killed.
Yeah.
Because it should have been up to him to protect him better.
In a past interview, someone brought up how there was a time when Suge Knight was blamed for Tupac Shakur's death because, as the argument went, it should have been his responsibility to protect him better. That perspective has resurfaced as renewed investigations into Tupac's killing have introduced additional names and raised more questions about who was truly responsible. Reports about the reinvestigation mention Suge Knight again, prompting Tupac's biological father to speak publicly. He expressed deep regret, saying that if he had been a better father, Tupac might never have trusted Suge so completely. According to him, because he wasn't consistently present in his son's life, Tupac looked to Suge as a father figure. Learning later that Suge had allegedly mishandled or taken advantage of Tupac financially only deepened that sense of betrayal. Critics have long questioned Suge's actions around the time of the shooting. Given his background in security, many find it suspicious that Tupac reportedly did not have adequate protection, especially during a period of heightened tension in the hip-hop world. Some argue that if Suge had truly recognized the danger surrounding Tupac, he would have shut down appearances, increased security, and moved him in a way that made it nearly impossible for enemies to reach him. Instead, Tupac was out in public in Las Vegas on the night of September 7, 1996, after attending the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand. Adding to the mystery are Suge's statements over the years. In some interviews, he claimed that Tupac was conscious in the hospital, that they were laughing and joking after surgery, and that he didn't understand how Tupac's condition could have suddenly worsened. Yet federal sources have indicated that Tupac was heavily sedated and in critical condition, casting doubt on Suge's recollections. The inconsistencies have fueled speculation. Former detective Russell Poole reportedly suspected that Suge may have had motives of his own, including preventing Tupac from leaving death row records. Some theories even suggest that rival gang members were framed to misdirect investigators. Snoop Dogg's name has also been dragged into the conversation. At the time, Snoop had strong ties to the Crips, and some have speculated that he might have had knowledge of impending retaliation. Snoop has openly admitted that he was originally supposed to be in Las Vegas with Tupac that night and might have been in the BMW. However, he explained that tensions between them had grown in the days before the shooting. According to Snoop, the rift stemmed from an interview he gave to Angie Martinez in which he expressed admiration for the music of the Notorious B.I.G. and Sean Diddy Combs. Tupac, who was deeply entrenched in the East Coast-West Coast feud, reportedly took offense to that stance. Snoop described feeling uneasy on the flight back from New York and even claimed he slept under a blanket with a knife and fork nearby out of fear for his safety. He said that by the time they arrived in Las Vegas, they were no longer on the same page, and he chose to go home rather than join Tupac and Suge. Because of this timing, some have speculated that Snoop might have avoided being present because he had heard rumors of potential danger. Others dismiss that as hindsight speculation. Meanwhile, suspicion has also centered on Sean Diddy Combs. Over the years, various documentaries and online commentators have suggested that Diddy may have had motives rooted in rivalry and jealousy. Some claim Tupac embodied a natural charisma and authenticity that Diddy struggled to manufacture. According to these narratives, Tupac was everything Diddy wished to be: organically admired, politically aware, artistically gifted, and magnetic. Diddy, critics argue, relied more on business strategy and influence to build his empire. Theories about Diddy's involvement often cite statements from Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis, who admitted in interviews and in a police proffer that he was present in the white Cadillac from which shots were fired at Tupac and Suge. Keefe D. claimed that discussions about targeting Tupac and Suge had occurred in multiple cities, and that Diddy had offered money for the hit. Although Keefe D's statements have generated headlines, legal experts note that proffer agreements and later recantations complicate their reliability. Diddy has consistently denied involvement, calling such allegations nonsense and refusing to engage deeply with them in interviews. On the night of the shooting, tensions were already high. After the Tyson fight, Tupac and members of his entourage assaulted Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand lobby, reportedly in retaliation for an earlier chain-snatching incident. Surveillance footage captured the altercation. Later that evening, as Tupac and Suge drove along the Las Vegas Strip toward Club 662, a white Cadillac pulled alongside their BMW at a red light near Flamingo Road and Koval Lane. Shots were fired, striking Tupac multiple times. He died 6 days later from his injuries. Keefe D. later described being in the Cadillac with Anderson and others, claiming that someone in the back seat fired the shots. In interviews, he suggested that Tupac appeared to be reaching for something, though police found no firearm in the BMW. Interestingly, authorities had questioned Keefe D shortly after the shooting but did not charge him at the time. Decades later, after facing unrelated charges, he provided detailed accounts of that night, some of which he has since expressed regret over, saying the situation should never have escalated and that many lives were negatively affected. The web of blame extends further. Some narratives claim that if Diddy was involved in Tupac's killing, Suge retaliated by orchestrating the murder of the notorious B.I.G. Others argue that these claims oversimplify a complex web of gang rivalries and personal conflicts. Law enforcement has spent decades revisiting the case, with renewed efforts leading to fresh legal developments. Beyond the criminal investigations, there are also persistent conspiracy theories suggesting Tupac may have faked his death. Supporters of this idea point to Suge's remarks about Tupac being conscious and recovering, as well as to rumors that he was spotted in Cuba or Malaysia. Some online videos purport to show Tupac years after his reported death, while social media posts from Suge's son have claimed that Tupac is alive overseas. However, these claims lack credible evidence and are widely dismissed by authorities and close associates. Part of the mythology surrounding Tupac stems from his complex identity. According to some who knew him, including former associates connected to political activism, Tupac was highly intelligent and strategically cultivated a thug-life persona to connect with marginalized communities and advocate for unity. The idea was that he could bridge divides between rival gangs and promote peace truces. Others argue that he began to embody the image so fully that he blurred the line between performance and reality. Critics have suggested that he lacked the street background that many assumed he had, and that embracing that image put him in dangerous situations. As more files and testimonies emerge, public opinion continues to shift. Some believe that multiple powerful figures had motives to silence Tupac. Others maintain that the shooting was a direct act of gang retaliation following the MGM altercation. Each new interview, documentary, or legal filing reignites debate, often blending verified facts with speculation. What remains undeniable is Tupac's enduring influence. Whether seen as a victim of industry politics, gang warfare, personal betrayal, or some combination of all three, his legacy has only grown. The circumstances of his death remain one of the most scrutinized mysteries in music history, with every development examined through the lens of decades-old rivalries and unresolved grief. In a past interview, someone brought up how there was a time when Suge Knight was blamed for Tupac Shakur's death because, as the argument went, it should have been his responsibility to protect him better. That perspective has resurfaced as renewed investigations into Tupac's killing have introduced additional names and raised more questions about who was truly responsible. Reports about the reinvestigation mention Suge Knight again, prompting Tupac's biological father to speak publicly. He expressed deep regret,